I dried off from my walk in the rain today and headed into school, and I've got a lot of things I want to talk to you about. So, are you ready? All right, get comfortable. Here we go. So, today I am doing our circle time from our science area. As you can see, I've got a couple of things I want to share with you. Today we're going to talk a little bit about trees. Now, you know it's been Earth Week, and Wednesday we all got together on Zoom and we did that wonderful planting with everyone. That was super fun. And I hope you continue to spend the day outside, even though it was a little windy and chilly. It was a beautiful day. We've had some funny weather this week, and it's been tough to be outside. But like I said this morning, it's okay to go out in the rain. Put your wellies on, or your rubber boots, whatever you want to call them, your puddle stompers, and your raincoats or a poncho, and just go out and enjoy, because rain is a really important part of the earth and how the earth survives, and all our wonderful plants and trees really need it. So enjoy that today if you can. So we are going to be talking about trees, and I wanted to take a step back a couple of months and remind you, or ask you actually, if you remember adopting a tree back in the fall when you were here at school. Do you remember that? We had 3 trees to choose from. We had an oak tree, we had the weeping cherry tree, and we had a maple tree. And you guys got to choose. Do you remember? Yeah. Well, I'm going to show you a little something to help remind you. So each one of you was given a fun recycled material book. So what did I recycle here? Let's see if you can figure it out. Remember we talked about the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. So we are actually reusing something. You recognize that? Yes. It's a Trader Joe's bag. And what I did was I turned it into a book. And each one of you has one of these here in the classroom. And this book was for your nature exploration, your observations, and the first thing we were putting in was your adopted tree. So this is actually Lucy's book, and I wanted to show you and remind you how we started this project. So each one of you got a page like that, and it says, I adopted a tree. So Lucy adopted an oak. So right here it says, it is an oak, and Lucy wrote oak out. And then Lucy named her tree Selena, and she drew a picture of it. You see that? You guys remember doing this? Because I have them over there, and I'm going to put them all together today and leave them out front so you and your grown-ups can come by and pick them up, and you can continue the project. So the other thing that we went out and did then is we got to know the tree a little bit. Lucy found some of Selena's leaves, the oak leaves, and she did a rubbing. That, do you remember? And then she also did a bark rubbing. She held the paper up to Selena's trunk, and she rubbed her crayon up and down, and she got this really interesting print of the oak tree's bark. So all of those pages get put together and get put into Lucy's book, just like that. And there'll be some holes punched in here. I'm going to punch 1, 2, 3, or maybe just 1, we'll see. And this becomes Lucy's book. Now the other really fun thing, I did that upside down, sorry. Whoops, give me 1 second. The really fun thing about your Trader Joe's books is that you can carry them outside, and they have this special pocket right here. See that? And you can put some natural items in that you find on walks. So for example, if you were walking along and you found an acorn, which actually would come from the type of tree that Lucy adopted, the oak tree, And if Lucy found an acorn, she could put it right in there, whoop, and carry it along. And then when she got home, take the acorn out and maybe start a collection from her tree, or just start a collection of natural items that you find a special place. Just like we have our basket here. It's our wooden box, actually, that we keep in the classroom, and it says, look what I found, or look what we found. And inside are all the wonderful things that we've collected outside on our trips to the meadow, or just walking around the school. So you can set up a box like this too, and you can start a collection of all the wonderful things that you find when you are out and about in nature, okay? So you've got this very cool book, and you've got this very special place to do your collecting. So I hope you use them, and make a goal for yourself. Maybe go out once or twice a week on a nature walk. You can put your nature scavenger hunts in here. You can bring along pencil and have extra paper in here and do some drawing while you're out in nature. There's a lot of really great things you can do with this book. So this is going to be ready for you to come and pick up today. Now, because we need to restart this program at home, this tree program, I'm sending home another sheet of I Adopted a Tree, and you can adopt a new tree around where you live. And you can do the same thing. You can look for its leaves. You're going to have to wait a little while because all the leaves are just coming out on the trees right now because it's just spring. But you can definitely do a bark rubbing. You can definitely look if your tree has dropped any seeds, and you can collect those. You can also lay the seeds underneath the paper and rub, and you can get a print of the seeds. All right? So use that noggin of yours and think of ways that you can make records and observations of your new tree. So that's going to be ready to go home with you today. All right? So, speaking of trees, we know that trees are the homes to many different creatures, right? So let's think about what kind of animal might use a tree as a home. Now, let's see. I'm going to pick two animals right here. And you're going to tell me which ones you think would be using a tree as a home. Okay, you ready? I have, I have a little owl here. Quack, 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 quack. Which one do you think needs the tree for a home? If you said owl, you are correct. That was not a hard question, was it? Woohoo! Owls do require trees. They sit up in the trees at night. They roost in the tree. That's where they sleep. And they sit up way up high and look down to see if they can find any prey down on the ground below. They're protected by the trees when there are storms. Where does a duck need to be? Yeah, a duck needs to be on the farm or on a pond, right? If it's a wild duck, it would be living out on a pond or a river or a lake. And if it was a domestic duck, a duck that needed to be taken care of by people, it would be on a farm or even in somebody's backyard. Lots of times people do have pet ducks. All right, so that was kind of an easy one, right? Let's see what other animals might require the use of a tree. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Do you know what animal that is? He's got some pointy quills on his back. It's kind of a slow-moving animal. That's right, it's a porcupine. Did you know that porcupines climb trees and sleep up in the branches? Yes, they do. They like to nestle in the Y part of a branch, right like this. Do you see how that's a Y? If that was a little bit bigger, this guy would just nestle right in there and he'd go to sleep. So porcupines like to be in trees too. Let's see if we can find one more animal down here. Here we go. What is this little guy? He's got a bushy tail. That's right, the little squirrels. I'm sure you've seen lots of busy squirrels around your houses these days, running up and down the trees, chasing each other. Squirrels need trees. They make their nests in trees, and oftentimes they go inside the tree and they come out, boop, a little hole in the tree, just right there, peeking out, right? So squirrels need trees too. And speaking of homes in trees, we have, what do we got here? Yes, a nest. And can you tell what kind of bird that is? That is a robin. And the robins need nests so they can lay their beautiful blue eggs and have babies, right? So birds, many, many types of birds, need trees. They need trees to make their nests and to lay their eggs in the spring. Now, woodpeckers need trees because what are they doing when they're pecking on the bark of that tree? Right? All trees have a bark, they have a kind of skin that protects them, and the woodpecker pecks in there, and what's he looking for? Bugs, that's right. He's looking for bugs in there. So woodpeckers are very dependent on trees too. And even when a storm comes and blows a tree down, just like we saw on my walk today, so many trees are down, animals still use those trees. They use those trees to sleep under, like turtles, right? We've got the eastern box turtle loves to dig underneath the trees and find a little place to sleep. We know that, let's see here, what have we got here? We know that bears often make their dens in fallen trees, and they dig the really big trees and they dig under and they create a den under the tree. We learned about that in the winter. And they lay lots of leaves down to keep them warm throughout the winter when they do what? Hibernate. That is right. So bears need trees too. And bears oftentimes will leave messages on trees. They will take their big claws and they'll scrape on the bark. And they scrape. That lets other bears know that they are in the area. So bears are leaving messages on trees. Isn't that cool? All right. And trees give us a whole lot of really cool things. We've got a big box of lots of gifts from trees. We've got seeds from the sweet gum. We have got acorns. We've got black walnut shells that are so cool. And what about these little guys? Pine cones, right. Pine cones are so much fun to collect. We have the outer casing of chestnuts. They're a little prickly and pointy. And I believe I have a chestnut in here somewhere. Let's see if I can, oh, here's one. When I was a little girl, I used to love to collect chestnuts. There were a lot of chestnut trees across the street from my grandma and grandpa's house. And I would go across the street and I would collect these. And I love to shine them up. Shine, shine, shine. They have this beautiful chestnut color. That's where that color chestnut comes from. And in the winter time, that song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, you can cook these and eat them, and they are delicious. So we get a lot of really awesome things from trees too. When you look around our classroom, many of our pieces of furniture come from trees. All our wooden furniture. And you can look around your house and look at some of your chairs and your tables. Are they made of wood? They come from trees. All the paper that we use comes from trees. Trees are very, very important. And it's super important for us to make sure that we are taking care of trees. And if we have an opportunity to plant a tree, that's a good thing too. So I do have a very special book that I love to share around this time of year. It's called The Great Kapok Tree. All right. This tree is actually a tree that grows in the Amazon rainforest. But believe it or not, even though, here's our globe, even though the Amazon rainforest is so, so far away from where we live, we're up here in the United States, right? We live in the United States of America, in New York State, right? You would have to take a boat or an airplane to get all the way down here to the Amazon rainforest. And even though it's so very far away from us, it is very, very important to us. Those trees are very important to the life all over the world. Okay? The Amazon rainforest, we've got to make sure that that stays healthy so our planet stays healthy. All right, you want to get up and move a little bit and then we'll read a story? All right, I'm going to see you in one more minute, so I want you to get up on your feet and I would like you to touch your toes, touch your nose, and do 10 jumping jacks, and I'll see you in a minute.